Hello guys, welcome back to Nerdy Crew. I hope you all are doing great. So today we'll be solving another problem which is of sort colors. So let's start with it. Here we are provided with a problem statement which is stating that we have an array nums with n objects which are colored red, white or blue. Now we have to sort them in place so that the objects of the same color are adjacent with the colors in the order red, white and blue. Also, we are provided these three integers which will be representing these three colors. And the most important thing is that you can't use any of the library sort function. So let's start with it. Now, if I take this array, I have this array and I know I have to sort this array. So the first approach which I can think of is simply using a sorting algorithm. Any sorting algorithm which you know of can be used here. But here we won't be solving this problem using any of the sorting algorithms. So let's move on to the second thing which we can do. Here I'm familiar with the fact that only 3 distinct numbers are present in the array. So this thing has actually eased our problem. Because if I iterate in this array, I'll get a count of all the numbers which are present in this array. In this case, I can see that 0 is present 2 times. Similarly, 1 is present 2 times and 2 is also present 2 times. Now, once I have got the count of these numbers, I can simply rearrange the elements in my actual array. Like in this case, in total I have got 6 elements and I know that 0 is appearing 2 times. So I have to start filling the first 2 places of this array with 0. Now I know that 1 is also occurring 2 times. So I'll start filling the next 2 places with 1. Right? Now I know that 2 is also occurring 2 times. So the next 2 places will be occupied by 2. Alright, so this is how we do it. Now let's try to code it. So for this I should actually have 3 variables, which is count 0. Then we should have count 1, and we should have count 2. Alright. Let's initialize these variables to 0. Similarly, here also 0 and here also 0. Then I know that we have to start iterating from this array. So for that I can have a for loop. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than nums dot length and I plus plus. So once I start iterating in this array, the moment I get an element, I can simply increment its corresponding value. So for that we can have 3 cases, which is if nums of I is equal to 0, I can increment count 0 plus plus, right? So the value of this count 0 variable will be incremented. Now, else if nums of I is equal to 1, I can say count 1 plus plus. Okay, at last I can say that else simply increment count 2 plus plus. Now this will be incremented. Fine. So now let's just do a simple dry run maybe. So for that let's say 0, 1 and 2. These 3 numbers are present. Now this is initially 0. Similarly, this is also 0 and 2 is also 0. Now I get the first 2. So I can say that now 2 is occurring 1 time. Alright, now the next element is 0. So let's just increment its value. Now I get another 2. So I'll increment its value. Then I get a 1. So this value will be incremented. Now I have another 1. So let's increment it as well. Now I have got a 0. So this will also be incremented. Right? So this is our final answer. Alright. Now the second thing which we have to do is simply rearrange the elements in this array. For that I need to have 3 loops. Okay. So I'll say that first loop int I is equal to 0. Why? Because I have to start putting the value from this 0th index. So I is equal to 0 and it will go until I is less than count 0. Count 0. Fine. because currently the count of 0 is 2. So I have to fill the first two places, which is the 0th index and the first index. Fine. Let me just write their indexes. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Fine. So for that I have written I is less than count 0. Let's say I plus plus also here, I plus plus. Then I can say that nums of I will be equal to 0. Fine. So now these two places are filled, so we have to start from this index, which is the second index. Fine. So for that we'll have a new loop. Here I can say for int I is equal to, now here int I will be equal to count 0 because these many places have been occupied. So I will be count 0 and I will go until this index, which is count of 0 plus count of 1. Only then this 4 places will be filled. So for that I can say that count 0 plus count 1 and I plus plus. Here nums of I will be equal to 1. Fine. I've started from this index, which is the second index, and I will go until the third index. Fine. Only then these two places are going to be filled. So, which is count 0 plus count 1. Fine. I hope you are understanding. Now let's talk about the last loop. So here I will be equal to count 0 plus count 1. So then I will get my this index. So let's just copy it. Okay, and we can paste it here. Now I will go until the last index, so which will be nums dot length, and then it will be I plus plus. Here I can see that nums of I is equal to 2. Fine. This is how we do it. Let's just simply comment it out and let's try to run it now. We don't have to return anything, by the way. The return type is void. It is accepted. We can submit it now. It is submitted. Alright. Now let's discuss its space and time complexity. So using this loop, we are iterating in the entire array. Therefore, it is taking big O of n time complexity. And again, then we are using these 3 loops to put the values back into our original array. Therefore, it will also be taking big O of n time complexity. Fine. Therefore, the total time complexity will be equal to big O of n. Also, we are using here 3 integer variables. Therefore, it will be taking a constant space complexity, which is big O of 1. Also, I have started an Instagram page where I'll be sharing all the latest tech updates and some content related to ML. So you can follow that. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching.